Hello everyone, welcome back. Give me a thumbs up if I'm audible clearly in the chat, please.
Yes, you are audible clearly.
So, welcome back to the week two, which is client-side attacks. And today our speaker is Mr. Hrushikesh Valvekar. Please join me in welcoming him. He's the CEO of White Arrow Cybersecurity and an internationally recognized cybersecurity trainer. Please make sure to follow him on LinkedIn, and the profile will be shared with you, and also the White Arrow Cybersecurity. Mr. Walvekar has specialized expertise in penetration testing, vulnerability assessment, and testing. Besides that, OSINT, digital forensics, and cryptocurrency investigations. Throughout his career, he has conducted more than 1,600 training sessions. I think we have not even attended this much, but he has conducted 1,600 training sessions. This includes corporate organizations, educational institutions, and government departments. Uh, Above that, he has also delivered international training programs in countries such as Bhutan, Muscat, and Malaysia. So, yeah, he is international. Today, he will be sharing his industry experience and practical insights from the field of cybersecurity with all of us. And the topic would be week two. Topic of the week two would be client-side attacks, which will include cross-site scripting, SQL injection, CSB bypass, file upload, and client-side flaws. Let us give him a warm welcome. Up to you, sir.
Thank you so much for introducing me. I'll
Yep.
start in a bit, but before that, I want to let you know all that today is not just the client-side attacks. It is basically in detailed analysis of all the website-related attacks, and then why is it very important to, let's say, why we are trying to find out those vulnerabilities. You will get to know in this particular part. Firstly, let's say many of the people who are actually going to get like let's say they're very much interested in bug bounties, they're very much interested in website attacks. They really do not know what will be a structured way to do it. Also, they only focuses on random things which might lead to frustration, or you might not find out bugs very efficiently. That's where this problem comes into the picture. For this thing, there is a lot of solutions, or let's say there are a lot of things that I'll be showcasing you so that it will be very beneficial for you all. Firstly, so I'm going to exit the screen for a bit and I'm going to give you one of the most important thing, that is OS top 10. So everybody knows about OS top 10 and many people will be using OS top 10, but they really don't know how to implement it. This is a really good practice for you. If you are not good at reading or if you get bored about it, it's okay, it's fine. But try to read each and every line so that you will be able to analyze a lot of other things. So for example, I have taken the broken access control. In this thing, you can see here that they have given you the description. What we Indians do, or what we people have the tendency is, we skip this part and go directly to the attack phase. This creates a lot of problem because we really do not know that okay, what is result set results equal to PSTM. Oh my God, that is something new. That is some coding. I don't know. So this is what happens for this thing. That's why we really need to learn or really need to read the theory where actually it will help you out. So let's say I'm reading the theory that okay, access control enforces the policies such that the users cannot act outside for their intended permissions. So failures typically lead to unauthorized information disclosures. This is very crystal clear. And Also, I can see some of the things that, okay, bypassing access control checks by modifying the URL. So this is also one of the important part, internal application state and HTML page, by using an attack tool that will modify API request. Now, what will be that attack tool? It is very simple. That attack tool will be the there are two attack tools. Very precisely, I'll tell you. I hope the screen is visible, right? No, it is not. Okay.
No, sir. Yeah, now is it visible?
Okay. So there are two best tools that we know that many people might know. That is, first is Bobsuit, but my suggestion would be also try to explore OS Zap. And there is one more created by that is an extension which has been created by Vulnshields, and they have literally created an amazing tool which is an extension for Google Chrome browser, and that extension is basically called as Hack Plus Tools. So Hack Tools plus plus. So this is one of the tool which is really uh, great in usage. So we will also be exploring that if we get a lot of time. And this is one of the factor that, okay, there are multiple tools available, but we should really know how to use it. Otherwise, there will be a lot of problems whenever we are trying to explore it. Now, coming to the first topic, that is the XSS attacks and why the security is very important for it. So real world scenarios, if we can see here, bug bounty impact is very good. Financial losses are there. And if you don't know that many of the companies, and not just the hacker one, but there are multiple companies involved in bug bounty programs. We have, yes, we hack, we have integrity, we have Bugcrowd. These are very famous bug bounty platforms which are being developed. And why are these famous is because they are trusted. They have made many lot of companies to trust them with their procedures. And many of the attackers or hackers, let's say, they are able to find out from very basic to very critical advanced level bugs directly. That is where this web security matters a lot, especially in finance companies. Security is required, and this is real world scenario why I literally initiate the first topic, that was OS top 10 vulnerabilities. We should not skip it because that is one of the global standard which has been set, and that is where this thing should not be like skipped anyhow. Now, going to the web surfaces, so there are multiple layers for website related attacks. So let's say there you might get some bugs in the browser itself. You might get it directly in the web application. You might get the bugs in the API layer, that is the APIs that you are using, or you might get some of the vulnerabilities in the databases. So in each and every layer, there are multiple things, multiple attacks, multiple scenarios, and that is why we should be very careful about these things. Many people might find some of the write-ups which will be very useful for attacking, but you will not find very good write-ups which will be used to protect it. So that is where we can actually play around, or that is where we can make sure that, okay, you should be very much sharp enough to know all the basics of about why this attack happened. Best example, there was a scenario where uh, a developer deployed. Uh, he was a fresher, real time scenario I'm telling, and he had deployed a website using Postman for APIs, and uh, he was deploying some things, and apparently everything was perfect. And the developer deployed it as he was intern. He was not aware about lot of basic things, and he was struggling a lot because the website was being posted, but still it was not visible on the web page. So there was small error which was giving no responses, and the developer got frustrated at why even though I am doing everything, I have done ChatGPT, I have done Gemini, I have done each and every tool, still I am not going able to get the output or request, or let's say the output that that the developer wanted to have. Then there comes a senior developer and he says, you just have forgotten the exact port number for that IP address. If you visit that particular port number, you will be able to directly visit the site. So this is very basic, but still people were struggling a lot to cope up with these things. So that's where networking also comes into the picture, where you will have to uh, let's say you will have to be prepared about, or you will have to know each and everything end to end. I'm not saying you have to go directly till bits, this, that, complexity. No, I'm saying the basics things that the network will have. Any port number, how the IP addresses work, how the IP addresses are being connected, what are the classes, what are the pivoting methodologies. These are some of the basics that needs to be required to go around. So that is where this particular part comes into picture. Now about the browser things. So let's say anything, any text or any, let's say wherever you see a text box, you will have an opportunity to embed some of the other things into that particular page or the browser, I will say. And that is where you can give wrong inputs to that particular browser or text field. And once the button is clicked, the it might affect the server, it might affect the website, it might affect the network, anything can happen. That is where XSS attack comes into the picture. If you talk about web application, SQL injection attack, command injection attack, file upload attacks, all these valid input validations which we skip at that layer, web app is being affected. That is basically the application layer. Then comes REST or GraphQL endpoints, which will expose the data. So APIs have the access to some of the critical data as well if the API is very well authenticated. And if the API is not been configured properly, or I would say misconfigured, uh, then at this point, obviously, any unauthorized data also will be able to given to the attacker directly itself. So that is where API layer will come into the picture. Lastly, the databases. So SQL injection attack typically targets the backend of that database. So credential dumping, or let's say if I want to download any data by just giving some of the queries, join query or inner join, outer join, anything related to the database, obviously the database will be affected. That is the we are actually targeting the backend data of that particular website. This is in general scenario for web security. We'll obviously seeing multiple things. We'll be obviously going ahead with some of the practical part. But before that, I want to explain you some theory. Might take 30 minutes, but it will be worth it. You will have clear understanding of each and everything. Now, what do you mean by XSS? That is cross-site scripting. Now, cross-site scripting will come in three different categories. First is the stored XSS, that is stored cross-site scripting. Then reflected cross-site scripting. And third is DOM-based cross-site scripting. Now, what do you mean by DOM is document object module. So that is these are the three XSS attacks, and these are the types. It might have some of the payloads which are very basic, that if you, for example, inner HTML, or let's say document.write, these are all the queries which are also being called as sync functions, and these are being used for basic filtering or bypasses of using this XSS attack. Now, what is this XSS main goal is? To steal the cookie sessions. Cookie might reveal lot of authentication tokens. Cookie sessions might also give you, or it might redirect you to some malicious users. So even though that user is not validated, it is an outsider, it might redirect from a genuine site to non-genuine site, or let's say a malicious site as well. That is where this XSS attack comes into the picture. Then there comes web content, which will be used to spread malwares. Malwares types are, let's say, there are viruses, trojans, worms, there are ransomwares. All these types are of malwares. So this is also one of the goal for XSS attack, to directly target or spread these kind of malwares. So this is how XSI attack. You might seem very basic, array. It is very much useless, or let's say the basics are very boring. But no, once you know the architecture, once you know the complexity, XSI attack is a very bigger picture, not just alert function, but more better than that. That is where XSI attack comes into the picture. So as I said, there are three types of XSS attack. One is reflected XSS, where payload is injected via URL and reflected immediately in the server response. So this line is very important. It is immediately reflected in server response. That is why it is being called as reflected XSS. So let's say if we are using stored XSS, it is persisting in the server itself. So anybody who executes that, users will be able to read it again, use it again. That is where stored XSS comes into the picture. And then there comes the very important, that is client side JavaScript, which is used to control the input by the attacker. So the processes of the backend are being directly tampered and being controlled by this particular attacker. That is where these three types of XSS attack are conducted. Next, reflected accesses we have already talked about, stored accesses we have already talked about, and DOM-based accesses we have already talked about. This is one of the example of DOM-based accesses where we are injecting document.cookie as an alert, and if the victim clicks on this particular link, they will get a pop-up. They might get redirected to some malicious thing, or let's say they might be able to download directly some file without authorization as well. So XSS contents are HTML content, which is direct script injection, which might be very critical. Then there comes HTML attributes, which is event handler exploitation. Then JavaScript code, which is dynamic code execution. It is also one of the critical part. Dynamic code means it is a DOM-based attack, and it varies end to end. It varies time to time. There might be a scenario where it is called as dynamic because it is having different features, different changing parameters. That's where JavaScript code is being used. And then there comes URL parameters that is being redirected to the phishing links. So that is how these content are there. Attribute injection comes into the picture where we are focusing on the front end part. It might happen that okay, zoom in feature is being tampered, or any contrast feature might also get tampered. That is where autofocus alert, we can see here what is the attack payload, and that is where the inside HTML attributes are being tampered on mouse over, on autofocus, on focus. This is where the problem starts, where if the mouse is being hovering on at a certain button or parameter or a location, then it might change or it might execute some things. That is called as on mouse over. This is one of the parameter. So this is where input lands in attribute value, and event triggers, or let's say the JavaScript execution is done without tags. In the advanced phases of XSS payloads, not just the basic scripts, but SVG payloads if there are there. So SVG is a type of image which is used basically for logos at some point, but it might be used as an event handler as well. So it is having some embedded code in it where the events are being handled like iframe injection. They're being handled with that image. So if an image is being uploaded, it might have background on focus, on error, on mouse over triggered execution events. So if we download the image, it might always trigger those codes. The main major impact of this exercise is cookie theft, that is session hijacking via stolen authentication tokens. So this is very important. Well, I know some at some part theory becomes a little bit boring, but if you get the complete idea of why this cross-site scripting is being very basic but till advanced, it has been getting complex and complex. We will always be seeing certain things where key logging is done. Okay, I have a let's say I have a application, I have an software, and yeah, I can do the key logging. But no, at this point, if I have a keylogger, what all features or advanced features can be used for that keyloggers, or any advanced scripts which can literally take over the complete admin controls of that particular server. That is where this impact becomes very bigger or critical. Then there comes XSS testing flow. So first is if we want to test it, we can literally use some of the HTML JavaScript attributes. Then once we try to inject it, we'll be able to identify some of the response codes. According to those response codes, or any filters are being applied or not, any sanitization is applied or not, we might also get some of the requests, or let's say some of the outputs from the response, where WAF rules encoding and blacklisting is being done. And the most important part is encoding, case variation, and obfuscation techniques. I'll give you one of the best example of encoding. So we have a tool called as CyberChef. It is an online tool. It has been uploaded on GitHub.io as well. So let's say I want to encode. Let's say I'm saying Superman, and and I'm giving ampersand, and I'm saying Iron Man, DC and Marvel at the same time. I am encoding it to base 64. So this is what base 64 looks like. Now, what does this mean? The second parameter. So if you can see here, the second parameter was case variations. Case variations means if, just in case, I'll give you one more example. So we have Superman and we have Iron Man. At this point, what happens is there might be a scenario where I am embedding a script, but it is not giving me the output after the closure of the script. It is not taking the input validations. So at this point, what I'll do is I'll do case variations. That is, I'll say SCR capital, I capital. Again, R capital, I capital. This is case variations, which will be impacting, because why? because the backend technology of that website is not able to understand, or the code is not been implemented in such a way that it will not be able to secure it. This is called as case variations. Second thing, now you can see here obfuscation techniques. Now in obfuscation, what happens is, let's say I'm using www.google.com. Okay. What happens is, in the obfuscation technique, if I want to bypass the firewall or filters, I'll do one thing, that I want to obfuscate it in such a way that it will take a character string. So what I'll have to do is, I'll have to write it script where eval and this string, that is S capitals because it's a JavaScript, from char to code, and I'll type those numbers 60, 97, 98, 99, or let's say any 101 code, and I'll try to embed this code, and I'll close the script. So at this point, what this particular from character code is basically, it is going to take ASCII characters, it might take hex encoding, it might use some another Unicode methodologies, it might use for, like, this is basically being used for, main focus is to evade the detection of any firewall, bypass some of the security filters, hide the intended content, and also reduce readability. So that is where obfuscation technique comes into the picture. There is one more different meaning of obfuscation is, if I'm talking about obfuscation, that means, let's say I'm saying google.com, and this is a clickable link, right? But if I just type google.com in this way, brackets may, so this is called as obfuscation. I can also add https colon slash slash. So this is also, I am adding obfuscation to it. That means this URL will not be clickable. This is one of the technique where we will be embedding into the stored accesses, and later on we will be editing the file from the backend, so that any embedded backend file, once it has been stored on the web server, can be changed or edited, and it will be obviously executing that particular code because it already bypassed the firewall. That is where this obfuscation technique works. So triggering events such as alert, console log, DOM manipulation, every single thing will matter. And this is one of the generalized testing flow of this XSS attack. Now, the best part of this thing is, I'll be sharing you one of the Bobsuit tool. I guess it is there on my, no, it is not there on my MacBook. I'll start it in my Kali Linux. So if I go here, I'll be starting the Bobsuit itself. And this is an community edition, free, available, open source, and it has been used for multiple things. At this point, if you see here, there might be a scenario where you will not be able to increase the settings. That is the font. You can go to the user interface.
Sir, your other screen is not visible.
Okay, just a second. Now is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So once we open the Bobsuit, there are certain things that you need to look for. That is one of the settings part. Bobsuit has a very bad feature, that it is not able to increase the font size. this font we can increase 15, 16, 17. But whenever you get the response or request, you will not be able to increase the font very much. So that is one of the feature that it has been lacking. Now there are two, three types, very important. First is you have the dashboard where you will be having live passive crawling. This is used to capture live requests and responses. Before this, you will need to know about what is proxy, why intercept is being used. So proxy is being used for multiple things. First thing, if let's say I'm saying google.com, so I want to capture this complete request, and then I should be able to read the complete backend code which has been flowing through this particular device. So Mozilla Firefox, I will have to first set it to a proxy. So I'll have to go to settings. I'll have to go to and type proxy. I'll have to go to the settings of the proxy. I'll have to say manual proxy. And manual proxy in this, always remember we are going to input loopback IP address, which is 127.0.0.1, and port number is always 8080 because it is for HTTP proxy. We are also going to enable for HTTPS so that it should not give us problem for any secured site as well. So we are good to go. And now the proxy is on, the intercept is on. I'll just reload the page of google.com, and you will be seeing that okay, I was able to directly capture the request of google.com. See, host is google.com. Get there might be a possibility that because of the as I said, the font size of this request and responses cannot be increased. So I'm reading out for you. This is google.com host, and it is giving us one of the cookie. This is the cookie, and it is also giving us more other details like user agent, accept, accept language encoding, and all the other things. We'll be seeing it for content security policy. But for now, you just have to know that okay, the request is being reloaded until and unless we are going to forward this request, and then we get the responses. So as this is google.com, it will have multiple layers, and that's where it is going to load. So this request and responses again and again it will come up. I'll have to close this thing. I have turned off the intercept. I'm going to the settings. I'm going to proxy settings. And this is a tedious task for all of us because we will have to close the proxy each and every time. So capturing the request and responses is very tricky situation. I want to skip it. For this thing, I'll just go to burp suite, that is Foxy Proxy. This is one of the extension in burp suite where if you include this to your Bobsuit account, you will be able to get lot of other things and always allow it for to run in private windows as well. So Bobsuit is being pinned to the browser now. Now what happens is Foxy Proxy is being there. If I want to go to google.com again, the proxy is off. I will add the same proxy, the same setting which we did on in the settings. We'll go to the proxies. I'll give you the title that is Bobsuit. I'll add the host name that is 127.0.0.1. Specifically, that is a loopback IP address and port number is 8080 and I'm saving it. So that is how this Bobsuit proxy is being set up. Now what happens is anything that you know that okay, I have set up the Bobsuit proxy. Again, I'm turning on the Bobsuit proxy. So if disable and this is enable. So once the Bobsuit proxy is enabled, I am turning on the intercept. If I reload the page, you will see again the request is being captured. So this is one of the basic setting where we will be capturing the requests and responses of Bobsuit so that we will be able to analyze each and every backend code. Now this is where why I want to introduce you is We have a testing site. So the testing site name is demo.testfire.net. So I'm pasting it. Okay, this is a site to test the XSS attack or sign in credentials or anything else that we want. Let's say admin. I am trying to test it if it is logging in or not. No, we have failed. So I'm just trying to type admin or try to test out all the other things so that we will be able to uh, get into this particular logging account. Okay, so this is not giving us the upper hand, or let's say giving us the permission to get into this particular thing, but still I want to try it out. Script alert. This is a type of attack where I am trying to test the XSS attack. Okay, perfect. So I've got one alert and I was able to test XSS is valid in this particular test field. So this is one of the technique, one of the testing lab which you can always uh, go visit and try to test whatever you want. There are a lot of things here where we can test. There are a lot of technologies. There are a lot of forms which are enabled here. Now my basic thing is I want to log in using online banking login, username and password, and I really don't have any idea how to log in. What I'll do is I'll capture this request in the Bobsuit. I will capture the response in the intercept. Request I am capturing in the intercept. And now what I'll do is I'll try to type test. So here we can see that we have successfully captured UID and PASSW, that is username and password. And this has been captured in such a way that okay, I want to try it out because it is not going to give me the upper hand. So that's why I am trying to try it out using intruder and repeater. Now what is intruder is? Intruder is used for brute forcing, trying out multiple things, trying out for single target, for multiple target. It completely depends on your scenario. Here from the first itself, see green, the test username is being green. So I want to clear it for now. I don't want to give it any target. What I'll do is I don't want sniper attack as well because sniper attack is always used for one position. But we have two positions, that is username and password. So I want to try cluster bomb attack where it is used for multiple payload and multiple positions. So I'm going to double click on the username. I'm going to add it as first position. I'm going to double click on the password and I'm going to add it as second position. So my two positions are being set for username and password. Here the attack type is being set. Here the payload position is set. So for first payload position, let's say I am trying to say admin add password add password add. That is how I'm trying to try it out. But I don't want like this. I can just paste default username password as well. I can just see I'm pasting it 3 4 times, or else I can load a text file where I will be trying to load some of the features. Let's say this is a text file where okay, we have got some of the things. So this is one of the feature where I can directly load or paste. If I don't want, I can just remove what I don't want. See, so that is how this particular tool is being used. Now what we do is Second is test. In the test, I am saying admin, password, admin, test1. These are the second thing, that is basically for the password. And if I don't want, I can paste it using some default credentials. And once I start the attack, you will get a pop-up that it should be safe. This is just a demo version for brute forcing. And yes, you can see that multiple login username passwords are being tried out. And because of this particular username and passwords, you will be able to get a lot of other things. So that is where these combinations are being tried out. Remember, always remember, if the status code is 200, that means it is success. 302, that means it is not directing to anything. The response code or response length might go beyond 5000 if it is successful, and if it is not successful, then it will be below 500. So that is one of the generalized standard, and we can also always check this. So this is one of the type of attack. It will start testing each and every password combinations. It will start whatever we have given input in every possible way. This is called as brute force attack using intruder, and that is being used to try out username and passwords, so that without logging in we can literally get the correct username and password. Now same thing in repeater, but in a different way. We can just edit this code. I can say test1, and I can just send the response. So this is like a playground. Until and unless we are playing in this ground, it will not be reflecting in this particular live feed. This is a playground where we can just tamper the code, and we can get more details about this. If I am just changing from get to post, whether I am getting the response or not, every single thing is being done in the repeater. So that is where proxy, intruder, repeater plays a major role in XSS attack. Why major role in XSS attack is basically every single thing that whatever we are using it here, it is completely interrelated to each other. So I'm turning off the intercept right now, just to tell you that okay, now the loading is being stopped and we have successfully failed the login. It was just a try to give you an idea about how this particular thing works. Bubsuit is an amazing tool. My personal favorite is OS Zap. So that is also one of the very interesting feature where you can literally get a lot of other details. So that is where this part is there. So OS Zap is open source tool, and Bubsuit professional version is a paid tool. But yes, this is the scenario. So I'm resharing my screen, and now I'll be presenting
Yes, sir.
this particular part, that is Bobsuit for XSS. So we have got to know about proxy, we have got to know about repeater, we have got to know about intruder as well. And then there is one more feature in it that is called as decoder. Decoder is similar to CyberChef. It is just used to encode and decode the URL base64, MD5, SHA1, SHA2, SHA3, SHA256. All these formats are being decoded. Now, the main important part comes into the picture, that is XSS defenses. So, I'll give you one basic idea about it. XSS defenses can only be not just one way, but this defenses can only be done using content security policy. So, our next topic was like after, if you remember, our first topic was XSS, then SQL injection, then CSP bypass, and then file upload and client-side flows. If you know, we have already covered a lot of things in XSS, but everything was interconnected as I said. And now again back to basics. what is XSS defense is, that is content security policy. And we have seen this code in that particular scenario. How whenever we were capturing the request and responses, you saw one code. So I'll try to give you a glimpse again. So let's say in this scenario of proxy, if you remember, in any code, we were able to read this code with user dash agent accept encoding, accept language, referrer, content type, content length. Why are these specified like this? Because it is called as content security policy. These things are being used to completely block the request and responses for XSS. Or let's say I would put it in this way, that we are doing input sanitization so that no attacker will be able to tamper the request and responses. That is where this particular protection mechanism comes into the picture. This is one of the most important thing. Second thing important is HTTP only cookies. That is, whichever tokens or protected sessions are there, those tokens will only have the access for the uh, JavaScript. And these are some of the techniques for filtering out. Going ahead with it, SQL injection attacks, SQLI. Now, there are multiple things in SQL. You can use MongoDB, but it is NoSQL. You can use MariaDB, then it is SQL. If you are using PostgreSQL, then it is a SQL. If you are using Firebase, then it is SQL. So SQL is basically a structured way of storing the data. So structured query language is the full form. Obviously, it has been used to store the input fields like username, password, URLs, data, description, anything related to the databases. You can also store an image in that database. If you are having that particular coding part, you can download or dump the database as well, including those images. So that is where this particular SQL injection attack takes place. The attack goal is very simple. The attack goal is to download, extract sensitive information. Any record that you want to tamper, any record that you want to manipulate. Classic example is single quote or 1 equal to 1 dash dash. I will give you this better example in live session, where I have one of the famous FortFigure site. I'll just type it on Google like SQL Labs FortFigure. Okay. So in this SQL injection labs, if I go to the SQL injection labs, you will be seeing second lab, that is SQL injection vulnerability allowing login bypassing. Okay. This lab does not require any coding. It just requires the just give it a second. Okay. This lab requires just the URL tampering, and we are good to. So what we are going to do is we are going to go to my account, and I'm saying I want to type some admin some password for it. I'm trying to log in. I'm trying to log in as administrator, and I'm trying to log in using this default account. So I'm not able to do it, but I know that okay, administrator user is there. So at this time, what I'll do is I'll say administrator single quote dash dash, or else I can just type single quote 1 equal to 1 dash dash, and I'll type some random weird password, and I'm good to go. It is saying internal server error. Okay, I'll just do one thing. I'll remove this. I'll type some password and I'll say login. Okay. So I'm just logged in as the administrator. Now, why did this happen? I'll give you a brief about it. Simple. If let's say if you want to log in into a user in the backend, what happens is SQL injection or SQL query works out. So the query is like this: select star from user where username equal to admin. It will be in single quotes, or administrator in this case, and password equal to some password, random password in single quotes that has been stored. Whenever we give the username and password in the text box, it is validating with this particular username and password. But what happens is we injected a code where I am seeing administrator single quote dash dash. That means it completed this statement, and after completing this statement, what it did was dash dash means comment out all the other code. So whatever the code was there after this is being commented out. So it never validated from the backend whether the password was valid or not. And that's how it literally gave the access of this administrator to this particular user. That is where SQL injection attack takes place. Now, this is very basic example, but if you don't know the backend of this SQL injection, then it will be a very big problem. My suggestion to you all will be, please try to use SQL injection, or let's say learn databases first before going blindly for SQL injection attacks. There is one more tool, one of the favorite tool that you can see, that is SQL map. So SQL map is an automated injection tool. Okay. And SQL map literally looks like this. We just have to give the input of the SQL map URL or IP address, and we just have to fire up that query. It will try to find out each and everything from the backend of this particular file, and it will give you lot of other things directly from the backend itself. That is where SQL map is an automated tool. But there is again a small twist in it, that is SQL map is an automated tools. So what happens is all the automated tools in the backend try to send lot of data, or I would tell or say in this way, that is it will be bombarding lot of requests and responses which might overload the server. So you have to be very careful about it. If you are using SQL map, make sure that it is not been like automated tools are not being banned for that particular assessment. Otherwise there will be a very problematic situation if you are blindly using SQL map. Most of the time, many times SQL map is not being used or suggested by many of the companies wherever testing is going on. Why? Because it might overload the server request and responses. So this is one of the factor that you need to understand. You need to keep this in mind wherever you go. So my suggestion to you will be, try to test it manually, try to learn the databases from the backend. It will help you out for more effectively testing using SQL injection. The best SQL injection practice is done on DVWA, that is damn vulnerable web application. If you solve each and every exercise of damn vulnerable application, you will literally become great SQL injection. You will master that particular skill. Now there are certain different variants of SQL injection attacks. So the first variant that I would like to tell you, that is error-based injection. Error-based injection might lead, like in this case or in this scenario, error-based injection will be a little bit tricky situation or a little bit time consuming. Why? This happens is because SQL, like authentication based SQL or let's say error based SQL, some or the other things are very similar. But in error-based SQL injection, we will find out for what error comes into the picture. So like we got internal error for that particular request that we tried out. That might give us more information about it. So let's say whether it is database type error, whether it is table name type error, whether it is column name type error, or whether it is query structure type error. So these error base are very, let's say, they have given you the name verbose database error messages, but I would suggest this helps you in better understanding about how the backend of the databases work. Second is these errors might give you the type or version, or let's say y- what kind of database it is, whether it is MySQL, MariaDB, PostgreSQL, Firebase, any database that you know, it will give you little bit idea about the backend. So that's where error-based databases will come into the picture. Then there comes union-based databases. So union-based databases are like quick, like join, inner join, outer join, any of the union queries which will give you more and more information about the databases. So union operator basically combines all the results of the multiple queries. If this particular union-based combination is being done, what happens is it will give you same number of columns first. Second, compatible data types, which will give you an impactful outcome. So you can use order by, you can use group by, so that it will give you more and more information about that particular users. Next comes blind or Boolean. Blind, I would suggest this is one of the most toughest SQL injection I have ever seen in my entire life. Blind injection will give you a successful output. Uh, that is not the case. Blind SQL injection will always give you hidden errors, and that errors are never displayed. That is one of the biggest problem. It might be a possibility that okay, application responses will be changed based on the true or false errors, but uh, the page will like give you a normal scenario, but you will not know that okay, this is actually a vulnerability. So that is where blind boolean based uh, SQL injection works. Then there comes blind time-based SQL injection. So there might be a response time of 5 seconds, there might be a response time of 10 seconds. Completely depends on what is the application built of. And there might be a scenario where there might be authentication bypass, quick bypassing will be done, or inferior data will be given to you, or any behavioral or timely changes will be given to you. Completely depends on different scenarios. My personal suggestion to you all will be try to practice this on OS Zap. And there is a very well OS Juice Shop website which is being enabled. And this website is basically okay, and right now it is not working. But yes, OS Juice Shop has been set up in such a way that you will be able to practice all these SQL injection attacks here itself. They have the challenges, they have the materials suggested to you, and you will be able to get perfection, or let's say improve in SQL injection attacks. So this is the scenario on this. Login bypassing is majorly doing the admin single quote double dash, something like that. I have already showcased you. Finding column count, we can do that. We can do union of it, data extractions like username, password, email addresses. Then Boolean based SQLi, same thing, time based, we have already done it. And then the most important part, that is SQLi testing methodology. Now, SQL testing methodology will be completely your own methodology. Everybody has their own different structure, mindset of thinking. But my thinking will be little bit, I'll tell you my methodology. If I want to test any website, I'll try to first see the errors. So error based testing I'll do. Then I'll try to get some of the blind testing. If I'm frustrated with the blind testing at some point, then I'll try to do union. And then after that, I would also do authentication bypassing. And lastly, I'll do time based SQL injection. So that will be my, let's say, methodology to find out each and every architecture of that particular backend web application. Now, why is it very dangerous or impactful is it might completely compromise the database. Credential thefts are done, remote code execution might take place, multiple things will be given. And there is only one thing that has been used nowadays is parameterized queries. ORM frameworks, obviously, abstract databases layer is with built-in sanitization, as well as least privilege escalation. We will be limiting the account permission to some of the accounts as well, and prepared statements, that is pre-combined queries that separate code from the data. So all these defense strategies will be done, or let's say implemented in this SQL part. The most important and the topic that we were waiting for, that was content security policy. Now if you can see your content security policy, I will give you very structured thing, or let's say overview of this content security policy. First tab here in the CSP header. Now for this thing, now there is a very good content. Okay, so we just have to type on Google, that is developers Mozilla security policy on Google itself. Okay, so this is a blog which is particularly written for all the developers, whoever is going to apply these changes. Now, what are these CSP changes is CSP is basically a browser security feature that helps to protect the websites from attacks such as cross-site scripting. And along with it, it also protects the users from malicious code injection. So that is where content security policy comes into the picture. Now, how does it work is, first thing, content security policy, you just have to set it to default dash src and self. So coming back to the PPT, we can see here the basic thing, that is content security policy colon script dash src self. This is first part. Second part, okay, self is being given, but common rules of CSP will be restricting the scripts, mitigating the XSS control sources, and the rules for CSP are script dash src, style dash src. For image, it is img.src. For any controlling APIs, WebSockets, fetch requests, that is connect-src. And last one, that object.src, which will be blocking any older plugins like Flash. For example, Flash. So these plugins will be restricted, meaning scripts can only come from the same domain. Second, scripts can only come from a trusted CDN domain, as well as the benefits of this is it is going to prevent the injection of the malicious scripts, reduce XSS risk. It will enforce HTTPS only resources. So if there is no HTTPS in the Wi-Fi as well, or any Ethernet as well, then it will block the website from their end only. They will say, no, I don't. Your network is only not secured. Why should we showcase our website? That is the HTTPS only resources enforcement. Then It will help to detect violations using reports. So this is very important factor, because obviously if there is any problematic situation in the website itself, it will be showcasing the errors, reports, or any violations done by that particular website. So in short, CSP is whitelisting based security layer, which will tell that browser which content source is trusted. Plain and simple. Now here comes the best part. So CSP misconfigurations is there. In this CSP misconfigurations, they have clearly stated that these configuration errors will weaken CSP and leave application vulnerable to the script injection attacks. So again, back to the basics, we will have to make sure the CSP, that is content security policies, should be configured properly so that it will not allow any of the bypassing or any of the malicious code to enter the web application. Some of the methodologies for CSP bypassing is JSPN abuse, exploiting the trusted callbacks to execute arbitrary scripts. Now, these 2 3 words might be very much difficult to understand. Do not worry. I'll give you plain and simple example. Any code, any callback from the server, or any risk response which has been executed, it will first get validated. But if JSON P abuse is taken place, then the exploit will trust those callbacks, saying that okay, this is very validated thing, because we are not able to recognize any problems because this is JSON abuse, and it will execute the arbitrary scripts, that is those type of scripts. Just a second. Okay, so as I was saying that the exploit trusted callbacks to execute arbitrary scripts. Now, arbitrary scripts are basically those scripts which are unexpected, unauthorized JavaScripts. So don't go for the name which is very complex. The name itself suggests that is unexpected as well as unauthorized JavaScript, and it will be giving you a very important thing, that is it will trust that particular callbacks. Second, now what do you mean by DOM clobbering? It is an security issue where the attacker manipulates the HTML elements. Elements of HTMLs are window.redirect to, or let's say evil.com/redirect to. So these are some of the HTML elements, and it will interfere the JavaScript variables and obviously the objects of DOM, and that's where this will be able to directly change the application behavior, redirect the users to malicious site, load malicious scripts, and bypass the security logic. Lastly, dangling markup. So inject incomplete tags to exfiltrate data and bypass the filters. Very important thing. So here we have explained you in detail about DOM clobbering, trusted script abuse, and CSP hardening. So these are some of the measures where use nonce, allowing the trusted inline scripts with cryptographic tokens. Nonce are basically, nonce number is being used to validate that particular token. Nonce number is of uh, 4 digits. So let's say I'm saying that 0000 is my trusted digit. So any token which is coming through 0000, that is a trusted nonce number, and we will validate it only if it is having 0000 in the starting. So that is called as nonce. Strict policies apply minimal restrictive directives. Whitelist only, that is going to permit the trusted domains and avoiding the wildcard entries. Lastly, file upload vulnerability. Now, this vulnerability is being executed in such a way that if we are using any PHP file upload, and I'll give you best example about it. RCE website, RCE. I forgot the name of the site. Just a second. Okay. PHP monkey. Since long time I have not tried out this thing. That's why. Okay. So PHP reverse shell. Okay. As you can see, this is the PHP reverse shell code. Once this code is being uploaded, we just have to do one thing. That is, we have to write the IP address. Okay. What we have to change here is, if you can see here, we have to change this IP address. This will be our IP address. That means our local machine's IP address, and port number, whatever you want to give, you can give. Let's say 5555554444. Anything that you want, you can give it. Now what this PHP file will do is, if I am uploading this PHP file in the form of PHP reverse shell dot PHP dot JPG or dot XML, okay, it will be converted into that format and it will get uploaded in the website. Once the website is being uploaded, parallelly what we will do is, we will try to open that location of that website. So once we I might have one of the scenario. Just give me a second. Yes. So perfect. I've got one of the major tab. Okay. This is a blog. Okay. For solving this particular machine, which is a web-based machine, what they did was, first they have done the they have seen that what is their IP address. Then later on, they have scanned the network. They have got the initial access, and I am skipping to directly the file upload methodology. In the file upload methodology, they have got one of the method where they are uploading admin.php file. See, they have got this admin.php. In that admin.php, what they did was, they were parallelly trying to do SQL injection attack, and they were trying to inject this particular file. Now what happens is, when we are uploading this in admin only page, see, first it was not giving the access of admin only, and it was not trying to upload that interface. But later on, what, due to the inspection of this particular cryptographic failure, the burp suit was able to directly decode the hash and give the access of that admin. And now after editing that particular admin cookie, they were able to directly get the flag itself. That means after uploading, it might give you the flag, it might give you the access about law uploading the vulnerability. So there is a scenario where you have an account, you are uploading the exploit. Okay. Parallelly, what you are going to do is you are going to say that echo.php, or you might be using a reverse shell. NC listener might work many times. So once you get the NC listener, you will be able to get this account details directly, which will be 200 OK. So 200 OK response means it will give you the output of all the things which are required because of this upload, file upload vulnerability. So this is one of the major risks. So examples of this is you can upload as a JSP, you can upload as GIF, you can upload as huge files, anything that you want to upload, but many systems will always not be able to upload exe file or html or jpg or rar file. Why? Because there might be a possibility that weak systems, or let's say some of the systems are configured in such a way they will not accept this .html or .exe file. So you will have to convert it for these extensions, which will literally give us the access of that particular uh, website. So that is where this file upload vulnerability is being taken place. Dangerous files are always ASPX files, JSP files, and PHP. SVG files are embedded, which are again, as I said, it is used for logos, but it might also embed some of the files for some of the codes in it. Lastly, as we already have 14 minutes left, there is client-side validation. Okay, so in client-side validation, I'll give you best example about this thing. There is an extension where if file type is not equal to image or PNG, then reject it. That we are specifying it. But this is very weak check. Easy bypassing and false security is being done. So if there is a file called as shell.php.jpg and double extension is there, the image is being uploaded directly, then obviously it will be a bigger problem. For these things, my suggestion to you will be the content type will be spoofed again and again. There are a lot of methodologies that you can research about. Google is one of the best thing. There are many tools, there are many codes available for just encoding some of the features for content type so that no spoofed header will be there. And this is all related to the file upload and client side attacks. Now, in the last 5 to 10 minutes, I would like to show you some of the resources. First best resource is if you want to learn, that is hack this site. This is one of the site where you can practice. Okay, the server is not available. Just a second. Hack this site. It is org. No. No. If you are not able to do it, directly try to practice on DVWA, that is damn vulnerable web application. Best resource, best practice. This is easy to go implement in Kali Linux as well. You just have to type sudo apt install DVWA and you are good to go for practice. If not, then you will be able to practice on OS Juice Shop. You might feel very boring, or let's say you might feel okay, this is not worth it. But if you practice this thoroughly, it will give you a lot of other exposures. Really worth it. I have personally tried it. We are literally having a lot of concepts cleared from this thing. Apart from that, obviously everybody knows it that Portsfigure is the open source best example, which you will be able to directly practice anything because it is open source. Touchwood, it is open source because Forbes 50 companies, Fortune 500 company, top employees also practice at some point. because everybody requires a revision about all the concepts of basics. Okay, that is one of the scenario. So that is all. Uh, this is
Thank
scenario.
you.
Okay, so I'm open for questions. If there are any questions, please let me know.
Thank you, sir, for the awesome session. Everyone, please drop your questions in the chat. We are live. Anyone, please, if you have any doubt, just drop in the chat. Sir, explain the DOM-based attack one more time.
Okay, DOM-based attack, I will show you in a different way. Okay, so let's say I'll type it in the URL itself. Okay, I want to type about any site. So https:// and I'm saying evil.com. Okay, this is a site, any testing site, random testing site, where I am embedding an hash and I am trying to write a script of DOM based attack where I am again giving an alert just to check okay whether it is working or not. Okay. Now here what I want is if this URL is there, okay, I want an input or I want to give something to this particular site which will give me a JavaScript output, and the JavaScript output will be, let's say, it will give me document dot get element by id and output dot inner html equal to location dot hash dot substring and 1. Okay, this is the alternative for what we are trying to do. Okay, so DOM based attack basically happens entirely in the browser. The server may never see the malicious payload. Why? Because it has been converted like this. Okay, and the vulnerability is caused by client side JavaScript manipulations and not server side. That is where JavaScript is there. In this DOM based attack, let's say
So
in a
which window are you showing?
is it not visible?
It is the GitHub page right now.
Arey baap re. I'm so sorry. It got opened in different tab. Okay, I'll type it in. Okay, so let's say HTTPS I have evil.com. Okay, and as I said, I wanted to input a script where I am getting an alert and script is closed. Okay, But now what I'll do is in DOM based, what happens is I want to tamper document dot get element by ID, and I want the output in such a way that inner HTML equal to location dot hash dot substring 1. Okay, so this and this is the same thing, but in DOM based, what happens is the attacker entirely uh, attack happens in the browser. Server may not be able to see the malicious code ever, and the vulnerability which has been caused by the client side is completely JavaScript manipulation, and the DOM is completely not safe. Specifically, I'm talking about inner HTML, outer HTML, document dot write elements, and eval. These are some of the elements which are dangerous. Now, what is safer element, or let's say what is the safer, that is set attribute. I'll write safe. Okay. Now the safe attribute are set attribute or else text content. So these are some of the parameters which should be used for like safety, and the prevention should be using the content security policy and avoiding eval, so that in the code itself, so that it will be safeguard. So these are some of the DOM based XSS attack. Any more questions?
The next question is how to start this journey and how to find flags without prior knowledge.
Solve port figure. Straightforward. Single option. It will literally change your complete perspective.
And so starting with damn vulnerable isn't an option right now for the beginners, right?
You can start with damn vulnerable application, but if it is like if you are not able to understand a lot of parameters, first start with port figure, then go to
Okay.
damn vulnerable. Both are basics, but there might be a possibility that you will not be able to cope up directly with DVWA because the
Yeah.
installation is there. A lot of other things are there, so it might be a scenario that it might be confusing.
Okay. Any other question, guys? And let me again just clear that the assignments are only for the lab now. You don't need to submit the PDFs. We will not be sharing a Google form for the PDF. The quiz will be live for 15 minutes at 8:30 IST. We will only 15 minutes will be allowed. Please drop your questions by two for next 2 minutes, please. The question is, what about Web3 and scope for application security?
Web3 basics can be done. So there are Learn Web3 site is there. So I will share it to you. in chat. Okay.
Yeah, sure, sir.
There is called as learnweb3.io. This is a site which is being used for learning Web3. I have sent in the chat box to everyone.
Yes, there would be a quiz after this session.
Yes.
Okay, sir. Is JS and Python are enough for cybersecurity field or anything else?
Can you repeat the question?
Sir, is JS and Python enough for cybersecurity field or they require anything else?
My suggestion to you will be at least try to read the code, like basics of some of the codes, not just Python. I am saying Ruby, Bash script you will require. You will require .NET as well. So because the exploits are being created in Bash scripting, .NET, C, C++. So you should be, I'm not saying that you should know how to code. You should be able to read the code. So Ruby, Bash script is also very important, and .NET, C, C++, depending on the exploit type.
Okay, sir. I don't think there are more questions. Thank you for being our speaker for the day. One question. What is the scope of application security as career in this AI era?
Scope of application development, it is a lot. Good scope if you are learning with AI. There are lots
Okay.
of codes available for the same.
Any suggestions like platform or anything?
No, there is no such platform for AI right now. Only
Okay.
OpenSecurity has launched about AI course. So this is the scenario.
Okay, no issues.
Yeah.
Uh, Everyone, any other questions? Okay, so we will just conclude the session here itself, and the QI is being shared with you. Thank you, Rushikesh sir, for the awesome session.
Thank you so
Let
much.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good day.
Thank you, sir. Same to you. Everyone, the screen is being shared with you for the quiz. Only 15 minutes will be allowed. Everyone, the quiz is live. Please fill the form by 8:45 Indian Standard Time. Thank you. Thank you guys for joining us. We will just end it here.